Hello, it's Jacob, and today I'm talking about values. And if you work with clients, or if you're planning to work with clients, then understanding values can make the relationship that you have with your clients a lot easier. So, values and beliefs are very different things. Beliefs are those thoughts that you've thought again and again and again so often that they've become a fact to you. All right, so people thinking that life is hard again and again and again, and having evidence show up in their world that reinforces it. That turns the thought that life is hard into a belief. That's an entire different discussion. Values are the things that we find important. All the things that we have values around life in general. We have values around work and relationships and love and health, and pretty much all of the different important areas of our life. We tend to have different things that we value about them. So it might be that in relationships, we value trust and honesty, and maybe transparency. Maybe it's independence. It can be all sorts of things. Same thing with work. Maybe it's success. Maybe it's that drive to win is one of the important things that gives you your happiness out of a good working environment. So understanding your values can make it a lot easier to understand how you behave, and why, even though you may say that you want certain things in life or in situations or out of certain circumstances, you may say that you want one particular thing, and yet you never seem to be able to convince yourself to do the things that you need to do to get that result. So I'm going to use fitness as an example here. All right, you might say that you want to be, super fit, able to run marathons and lift ridiculous weights and, look a certain way. You might say that that's what you want, but your behavior stops you from having that outcome, right? So it turns out that actually I prefer my immediate comfort, my comfort right now. I value that over my future comfort. I value the pleasure of eating these certain foods and the pleasure of enjoying this particular show more than I value that desired outcome of looking a certain way, feeling a certain way. So when we understand what our values are, and it's a hierarchy, like there's one sits at the top, then the next, then the next, then the next. And these all happen subconsciously. They happen without you realizing, without you necessarily choosing. And it's just something that develops over time, right? And they can shift, they can change, they can evolve, because that's exactly what we're designed to do. We are supposed to evolve. But they are ranked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and ongoing. And even the different areas of our life, so whether it might be career, relationships, health, happiness, spirituality, all of these things, they're different areas of our lives, but they can also be values. So we will tend to rank them as well. One thing's going to be more important than the next thing. So when we understand this, we get to understand our own behavior. This comes into play with conflict in particular. You know, there'll be, you'll find that generally you get along well with people who share the same values. And you tend to have conflict, and you can't stand being around people who have different values if they're very, very different. But what you'll also find is that in most cases, if you have conflict with someone, it's because their actions were in keeping with their own values, which don't match up with your values. It makes it really, really hard to, without compromising a little bit, without understanding why they do things, it makes it really hard for both sides to determine who was right. Because in nearly all cases, we'll act in keeping with our values. And they're unique to each one of us. They will end up being our own unique blend of values. So when you do have this conflict and someone acts a certain way, it's damn near impossible to make them feel wrong about it, because they've acted in keeping with their own values, which is exactly what they should have done. Now, there is a few little things. So that was the limit of my understanding of the whole concept. But recently I just sat down and, funnily enough, I was thinking about this, and I thought, what if they were acting from incomplete information? You know, there's, if you're in business and you're making decisions, then most of the time we end up putting off making a decision because we don't want to make the decision. It's not because we're waiting on more information. Like, most of the time, if you've got 70% of the information you need, make the decision. But what I was thinking about is that people act without all of the information, and that's absolutely fine to do, because how else are we supposed to act? We will never have all of the information, right? So if someone acts without all of the information and there was something crucial missing, then the outcome might not be what they were intending. And when they are then given the information, that's normally when they'll feel quite a bit of regret. They'll think that they acted hastily, which, again, not necessarily fair, because we all need to act. You can't just stand there or sit there waiting for more information all the time. And then the other thing is that one of the things that may help a resolution is them not being able to foresee the outcome beyond what they've been able to foresee. Which, again, we can't predict everything. Maybe they tried, but they missed this one detail, that this one prediction, this one part of the outcome. But understanding your own values changes things quite dramatically. It means that at least you get to choose how you act. You get to understand why you've been holding yourself back in certain ways. You get to understand that, you know what, I say that I want this and this and this, but I always act in this way instead. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe when you realize that B is more important to you than A, maybe you can relax into it and own that and be okay with it. And when you're okay with that, you can be okay with yourself. So if this has been interesting to you at all, I actually have a new book. It's a short book, it's a workbook, but it's a workbook all around determining your own values. So I'm going to put a link in the comments here, and you can jump across and check it out on Amazon. Amazon has the hard copy. I'm also going to put another link where you can get the PDF downloadable version, and even I'm going to do it. I'm going to put together a recording where I take you through how you determine your values. And then we can, if you're feeling adventurous, we can even figure out how to change your orders. Because when you change the order of your values, it can be life-changing, because as we've said, it helps you to consciously design how you're going to behave, because you get to go, this is more important to me now than that, because you've chosen it to be so, because it's going to lead to the outcome that you actually want. So check out the links below, and I will see you on the other side.